Hi, welcome to Pluto. I'm Pluto, and this is Picking My Brain. Thanks for watching, and this is pretty much just a series where I talk about whatever I want, and you're gonna pick my brain. Alright, today I want to talk about my frustrations with, I feel like it's just like heavy topic, like I just like heavy topics, I like thinking. My frustrations with the American political system. Now, if you asked me, do I feel represented in the system? I would say no. I don't know about you, but as a person who is just working, period, I don't feel represented. I don't feel represented by, I'll start with the Democrats. I mean, the only person on the Democratic Party who isn't even a Democrat, in my opinion, that I feel represented by would be Bernie Sanders. And then after that, probably AOC, but then like barely, like all these people, and Bernie Sanders barely with his views on Israel and Palestine. But I mean, every other Democrat is just as bought and paid for in our system as all the Republicans are. I genuinely think, and that's my first of the problems with Democrats and Republicans. It's like they're both bought and paid for, and they're bought and paid for by who? Like corporations who just want to keep the system the way it is. And I would say that I just don't like that. Like I don't feel represented in that. I don't feel like my interests or my voice is being heard in that. And I'm frustrated with money in politics, period. I mean, there's so many interconnections and change, where money changes hands there. Money in politics, the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, these things where people are making money off the government and general government contractors, like I'm annoyed with. Because, like, the incentives are all mixed up. The incentives are all mixed up in that. And I feel like I'm losing my train of thought. Well, whatever. I'll just pass up on that. The incentives are mixed up, and I don't like all the money in politics, especially with lobbying. General contractors, I think, are generally okay. Subsidized contractors, I think I was mixing up my words. But yeah. I can't stand all the money in politics. I can't stand anyone except for pretty much Bernie Sanders. The person who I want to vote for president is like Cornel West or Marianne Williamson. Like, they're the people who I feel represent me most, and it's not even like close. I definitely don't want to vote for Joe Biden, but I definitely don't want to vote for fucking Trump. And I think that's where the second part of my complaints come in for the Republican Party. I am sick of seeing fascists in my country and everyone just ignoring the fact that they're fascists just because they don't say so. We all saw with January 6th, a literal try to insurrect the government and like overturn the results of an election unfairly. And I think anyone normally can see that Trump has all these indictments, and it's like, I understand people are feeling alienated. I understand people feel separated. I understand that we feel hidden and that our whole system works in this great big way, but we can't see it, and so we are, suspicious of people in power. It's okay to be suspicious of people in power, but when you forget the larger ways that institution works and how people come together, and just how secrecy works, period. I think that there is probably more going on that is in plain sight and just bogged down by stupid media, social media, blanket news media, 24-hour news cycle. There's so much going on that we don't actually have investigative journalism into, and that's probably the stuff that's like more conspiracy minded. But like, even then, I think the conspiracy mindedness of Trump's, I just can't understand that. And then I also see how it's literal, like okay, let's go down Trump's line of thinking. It is, okay, the Mexicans are coming into our country. Okay, we have massive immigration. Okay, because of this massive immigration, well, first of all, the people in power are doing nothing. Which, first of all, premise, what I would probably agree with. People in power are doing nothing. Premise I would agree with. They're doing nothing to help working people. Premise I would agree with. So, here are some premises I don't agree with. So they're sending in a Mexican population to replace some sort of white population. Like, it doesn't make sense. Or, I mean, and so that what should we do with that? Militarize our southern border? Like, that seems like you're leaping in logic. And then, what's the other one? The wokeness stuff? Yeah, they're teaching about black people in our schools. Like, I just don't see how that's an issue. I mean, black history is American history. Our history is interwoven with black people in America. And so I just don't see how, we can't teach about, like, one, it frustrates me that we have Black History Month because black history should be taught every month of the year, such as every person's history. Two, the history we're learning in school, when I learned in school, is bullshit anyways. I am genuinely frustrated that I never learned. I'm from Colorado. I never learned about things like mining massacres that happened and mining towns in Colorado. I never learned about lots and lots of things in my education. And I don't think that we are really. I'm losing my train of thought here. I don't think that's a bad thing to learn. I don't think CRT is a bad thing to learn if you want to talk about first critique here. They're banning books in the libraries. I always learned about banning books as the things that Nazis did, and now they're banning books. And it's kind of they're acting like it's normal. Like, I just don't see why we can't teach normal, like, the history that's in America, or we can't teach, we can't have people have books in a library that are about, I don't know, sexuality in any way, or gender, or any learning intellectual topic. We don't want people thinking about that stuff because it's like it threatens society for some reason. But then, in the same way, my questions are this. If it's all sexuality, like, we can have an argument about what children should see, and I mean, I'm not really for that argument. I think it's kind of stupid. If it's just for that, then why are we banning books like Mouse in the libraries? Tennessee banned a book called Mouse, which is a cartoon version of the Holocaust, a Holocaust perspective of a Jewish person in the Holocaust. I mean, it's a great book. It was very well done. Talks about topics like generational trauma, and his father, lived through this, and he's hearing the stories from his father, and it's all just like kind of funny. There's some funny parts in there. It was good. I mean, it was extremely good book, harrowing but good. And that's getting banned. I mean, I don't understand why kids can't read about that. And we're stopping teaching things about slavery. We're stopping teaching things about Jim Crow. I barely learned about Jim Crow, but like, really, I've had to learn about Jim Crow. But like, really, I just don't see. I don't see it. I don't see how people don't see how this is like just blatant fascism now. They're talking about, like, if you look at I forget what it's even called, the 900, probably it's like 900 pages where they just say, we're going to make porn illegal, and then anything that talks about sexuality is porn, and so we're going to convict people who are talking about sexuality. I mean, we're going to use the president to take control of the military, and the department use the military and the Department of Justice. And I mean, that sounds like fascism to me. That's when you get down to the bare bones. That's just like fascism. Like, what did Hitler do? Well, and the whole other thing in the right-wing sphere is the Jews control everything. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but that's just bullshit too. Like, they don't. And my frustration with that is the premises that they use. These rich people are control everything. They own everything. True. That's 100% true. And it's the banks that control everything. The banks have too much power and they're in bed with our people in politics. 100% true. Now, when you get into who owns the banks, we're not talking about systems of wealth creation and wealth sustainability, or not wealth sustainability, wealth accumulation. We're talking about like who a person is, what they look like. And I really think that they lose themselves in the sauce. They're making a good argument and then they go, well, all the Jewish people own all the banks, so they run anything. First things first. That's what the Nazis said. Literally what they were said. Bolshevism is literally what they were trying to say. That's their final solution was what? What was their final solution to fix that problem? Not tear down the structures of wealth accumulation and not tear down the banks. What was their solution to that problem? So I don't see how you could see what they're saying and think that it's not like literal fascism. One. And then two about that is, it's another example of why we're like seeing literal fascism creep up. And I don't like the Democrats. I don't like their sustaining of the status quo, but I certainly don't think that is the solution. Like, does that make sense? It just doesn't seem like a solution. And I don't know who I want to vote for. I don't want to vote for anybody. I want to curl up in a ball and ignore the next election, and I can't, because our world's going to shit and I see people need stuff. I see our education system falling apart. I see literacy falling apart. I see media literacy falling apart. I see polarization. I see just a general sense of alienation and frustration and just being alone in this technological world and having no community. So as I was saying, I see a general sense of alienation. I see a general sense of frustration. I see just desperation in a lot of circumstances, and addiction, and all of these things that, what are we aiming for? What's our end goal? Are we trying to build a society that is, the most beneficial for the most people? Are we trying to be productive? Are we trying to make the world better? And I feel like when I ask those questions, the answer I always get, well, that's just the way the world works. And my question back is, why does it have to work that way? Why do we have to keep doing things like this? And I feel crazy. I feel like social media is crazy. I feel we spend too much time on our phones, but I feel like there's nothing better to do. I feel like jealous of people in the past who were able to interact with their cultures and their society in more real ways. And I'm frustrated that I don't feel represented, and I genuinely am like, I don't know who to vote for. I want to vote for someone who's going to do those things. And I'm like, okay, 150 million people don't vote, like half of our population doesn't vote. How can we stand up and make these demands? Like, there's no reasonable way. So I'm like, okay, we voted for Harambe in 2016. Let's vote for fucking Pluto in 2024. And, I'm not going to be president. I'm not old enough yet. But let's say, okay, well, we're not going to stop voting for this. If you keep doing re-elections, we're going to keep voting for these things until you get somebody in the stands or that we can vote for that stands for what we believe in. Like, what's the point of voting? What's the point of political action if it's going to lead to a dead end like a Democrat or a Republican? I'm talking as an American to an American. Like, I'm sure other people in the world can listen to this, but that's how I feel. Like, I'm just sick of it. I'm like, this is just me brainstorming how we can really make a change, and would that even make a change? Like, let's start organizing. Why aren't we organizing? We have climate change is a real issue, and our energy infrastructure is a real issue. CO2 emissions is a real issue. Not only that, but we look like absolute idiots with Republicans talking about civil war right now, with to the on the global stage. And it's like, I don't care if China's number one. I don't care who's number one. I care that we are treating our people number one. You know, I got into an argument with somebody somewhere, and we were talking, and I brought up something about Flint, Michigan. He's a Republican, and he goes, I hate when people bring up Flint, Michigan. And I was like, okay, well, it's the truth. Like, why can't we get more federal government aid in there? And he goes, well, why don't we, you complain about the military budget, which I do, $800 billion we spend in the military. Why don't we take the military and go take out the mayor of Flint and then get our people to do some stuff in there? I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I'm not crazy. I think that people should be equal. I think that we should work to create a society that benefits everybody, but I don't think that we should use straight violence to do that. And how can we change people's minds? How can we change the world in a peaceful way? I want a peaceful global revolution. And I'm going to keep preaching or yelling at the top of my lungs into the void until someone hears me, because I'm sick of the way things are going. I'm 20 years old, 23, and I don't want to live 60 years like this. I've lived 20, and it's pretty bad. I don't want to do it anymore, and let's fix this shit, guys, because what else are we doing? Working shitty dead-end jobs where we don't care about what we're doing just to make a paycheck, instead of thinking about how we can reorganize society in a way to where we can work jobs that are meaningful and fucking put food in our stomachs, because that's all our paycheck's for. Food and maybe some cool experiences culturally, like, that's it. We're pretty easy to satisfy people, and then maybe we can use our productivity to like really make a difference in the world. So I just really, and we can use technology to communicate real ideas to one another and get shit done. Like, we have this amazing technology. I mean, that's what I get so frustrated by. But that's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching. Maybe we'll talk more about this later, but my camera's about to die. So peace and love, and hope everything goes well. Bye.